Busting the world's oldest conspiracy by revealing the first writer's formats in the Bible. Have you ever wondered who is editing the Bible? These are some of the words written by the 1611 King James translators that are wrote in its preface. They state 4 reasons how anyone can re-edit the text in the Bible. Their third reason is by the light and feeling we attained unto ourselves. The next arrow down points to them writing, a great clerk, Gregory, is the divine, spelt with a capital D. At the bottom, they will tell you by studying the Bible, your reward is to have a participation in a heavenly nature. Whereas the Bible's words should be telling you how to be obedient to our Creator to enter into heaven. Now you know by their own words, they are not the good guys editing the Bible. Here, let me show you the 12 commandments that are listed in Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Surprising, isn't it? Now let me show you how I changed one word in Exodus chapter 26, verse 26, the word bars to arches, and now you know that these planks make the hip roof for the tent for meeting for Yv. Why did I just use 2 letters for our Creator's name? Well, Hebrews did not have the letters J, O, or W in their language. Therefore, I am closer when I say the letters YV in English than anyone else. It is better to learn how to pronounce these 2 letters in Hebrew. Our Creator made me see them 8 times, and these videos are my recording of how and why I am re-editing their text. Then all these books that I am editing will be made into one book in order. In my YouTube description, it has our Creator's hidden formats in a PDF of the same text. In fact, it is a message to everyone today and in the future. I have also made many different styles from these hidden formats for copyright reasons. All right, back again. This time is the best part of what I do in editing, and that is to show you the formats that I found. And there are only 2, and they're right above my head. And what you're seeing here is when I have 2 major words, okay, and then I connect them with the least amount of words. So you can see that this here is how I'm doing this 4-verse format. I also do the 3-verse format the same way. But a 4-verse format, now that what that does is this is a comma and this is a period on those verses, and they make a long sentence, and that repeats. Okay, well, after it's done repeating, this becomes a small paragraph, and then this paragraph ties to this paragraph to make a larger paragraph. It's the only way I can describe what's going on here. And then you can see that I put a double space between these groupings. But this is what I found, a bunch of pieces from different chapters. So what I'm doing is getting it ready to be, I'm labeled it already to then put them in the correct order. I'll put the 4 verses together with the 3 verses, get those the best I can throughout the text that I can't use, and then I try to put them in the correct order. Not knowing that that's the best I can do right now, more text that comes along from Ezekiel or other text, then that has to be added. Because in Isaiah, I have found a lot of text that does not go to the timeline of, whoops, forgot to set that up. The timeline for Isaiah, and we have a date saying the 4th of this king here, Jotham, or whatever. And we have words about this king, so this is true. This is the king for Israel. These are the kings for Judah. And he also is a prophet, and he's going to be sent to this king. But I've got text that's when they're returning. I got text from this king up here, and I think it's actually talking about when at Elijah's time, so I'm thinking it's really this king. So But I will note what I'm doing with the text, but you should at least know that a lot of the text, see, this is after Israel is gone, so I've kind of got some hints within the text to help me place them in order. But what's important here is that when I went through, I needed a second editing. These are simple that I don't need to explain. But as I go down here, there are some that I have to. I found that I had left this word here, and I guess maybe I used the wrong color in my way of editing and must have made it green instead of made it small. I was going to get rid of it, so that's why that's there. This text, I have noted that it's not from Isaiah for the simple fact that they are worthless offerings, which means that this king at this time for 50 years, he was meditating to have sex with the so-called female goddess, and he put his carved image inside our Creator's meeting room. Therefore, the priest had to be corrupt. Therefore, the scribes were corrupt. Therefore, a lot of people were corrupt that were in charge. So if there's at any point that I'm going to tell you that when did the text actually get taken over, and then them starting to, those that meditate to have sex with a female goddess started editing what we have today in the manuscripts that they have today. Not to say that we don't have good scribes that were obedient to our Creator through these years, because we've got them all the way up until the return, that there are good scribes, but all their text has been taken over and removed and gone. So what I did find in Isaiah is a lot of times it does not state this is a prophecy at this time. So this is going to be a little bit harder to put together. I took this group here and I moved it down to here, and you can see that it reads in order, because when you look at these two, this group here and then this group here, then yes, those seem to connect. Now this is that his light does not appear to you was the text I put in, because I know the text, and he was appearing over the mercy seat as a light, and then he would speak to the priest, whether to forgive that person or to cast them out from the nation. So what I did need to do, though, when I removed those words here and moved them, I needed to edit the beginning of it a little bit. And my light does not appear to you, meaning that he has stopped, because he's already talking about, when I'm putting these together and starting to read them, the text that I'm putting in is new because of what I found when I'm reading all the text, that he wouldn't have been showing up to those that were against our Creator. Okay, same thing here, but you can still see this is part 4. How many times I had to break up the first chapter of Isaiah, because these subject matters are just completely different. This is going to be chapter 2. And I didn't like the word spread out as people, because he cast them out is what he was doing. That's the agreement of the 10 commandments, or the 12 commandments, at the agreement in the Sinai, that when our Creator gave them the 12 commandments, he told, I better show that. I'm not sure if you've seen the intro or actually didn't get a screenshot of it, but this agreement was between the nation Israel that he created as he was coming out, and when he talked to the people, He was talking from his cloud when a large horn sounded, and then this is what the text says he said, and then there are 12 of these. And therefore, you need a sin offering. So these are known as sins, and there's only 12 of them. But he told them that he would be a Lord over them, for them if they obeyed the 12 commandments, and he would protect them, Lord over them, provide them, make sure there's no famine, droughts, and people that come in and conquer them. He would make sure they were able to defeat the enemy. So this agreement, if you didn't, you're going to get cast out. And this is the reason why he cast out Israel and cast out Judah later. Now the problem is you can see here by the years they're totaling here, we might have maybe 200 and some odd years before Jeroboam and they're sent into captivity. Okay, they're sent off the land. Now this, what happens here was this guy went to Damascus. He built the Ra's, the sun god Ra from Egypt, his altar, and then had the duplicate made in Bethel. So anybody that goes to the church of Bethel, you're going to a pagan church, as described by the text that Jeroboam set that place up so the people didn't go into Jerusalem to atone for their sin. So this king was corrupt. And then there was a couple kings that tried to be good, tried to change it around. They failed. Then they brought this guy in, or our Creator anointed this guy here. So the thing here is then his son was pretty good, and then they fell away again. So it's about a 220-year timeline here. So when you look at from this timeline down, it's like another 100 years after. So that's how our Creator finally decided enough, casting them out. The text we have from Isaiah does talk about the time before this. So Isaiah really has to be older than what you would think, because he's here at the end of his life. Hezekiah is going to get 10 or 15 more years of life. So when he died, so we go back 15 years. If I go 35, split it in 3. So right about in here is where he's going to be told that he is going to die, and then he asks our Creator, and our Creator give him 15 more years. So we can pretty much date the time of when he was sick and when he was going to die. And we know that Isaiah might have been around a few years after here. We'd have no idea when Isaiah died. So the text, though, I have from this time up in here as well. So that'll be more clear when I show you the next video of how I reordered the text. So is fulfilled I needed the word is. Some small changes here to make it read more smoothly. I didn't do quite as good editing job on a lot of this, as you can see. But I don't see anything too difficult here. When I added the word garment, I forgot, the rope, it becomes the belt. So this is the way they wore their white hides clothing. So all right, this text, when I seen it, it stuck in the middle. It read way out of place. So I said, time to get rid of it. I think I mentioned a couple times about one text I didn't like, and then I said, well, I'll just wait until I read it again, because I did try to put these other places and they just don't go. It says in the middle of our streets, but they've got more than just streets, they've got roads. So to get the correct answer here, the wording, the middle of the street, that it has to be roads and streets. So I corrected it by adding, you can see I added the text here, but I am kind of replacing these words. Sandals to boots. This is because they're talking about an army coming down, so they had more than just normal sandals. They were strapped boots, but I can see that somebody might want to call them sandals, but no. It has to be a boot to be more correct. Seraphims, I got tired of that name. That just doesn't make any sense, and I got angels here. And then you're going to have two angels covering his face, to his feet, and with two he flew. So the thing there is you have to use your understanding of what he's seen here. So the thing here is I haven't done the 4-verse grouping yet, so I'm not sure how this is going to be taken into what, because see, if I remove this text here, because I did look at it a little, I can remove that and then the story reads more correctly. Okay, so this of him being flying around and stuff, I think is going to be gone. But the object is we have no true story of how Israel has his first vision and recognizes our Creator. So this might be that text, or close enough to it. But scattered pieces throughout. A lot of text here had to be added. I had to add this whole group, because there was this group here, and I think in the end I just got rid of all this and stopped there, but I still needed to edit it. I had too many words here. Then those are pretty easy to understand. This was talking about the army coming down and what Pekah and his army were doing. So it couldn't have been just the people. It would have been the warriors. They seen how many were coming and they couldn't defeat them. But I do believe they did battle them, because our Creator said their bodies are going to be all over in the streets and roads and cities. Roads and streets. Now this was the king that I told you about. It's literally right here, and I'm thinking it's Elijah that this is being talked about. That's why I'm thinking this king is wrong, because this story of meeting him at beginning of the river has to do with Damascus coming down and trying to take another tribe of Israel, a couple more tribes, and trying to establish his son, whoever came down here from Damascus, tried to set his son up as a kingdom here. Yeah, here it is. That's the king and his son. Yes, okay. Those two came down and wanted to set it up, but that's the story from 100 years before. This, like I said, when it comes to this king might be a different name as well. Just don't know, because I don't have enough recollection and didn't really want to look it up to say what is what yet, or who is who and why. But it goes to the fact that you got to remember, Elijah is the one who told the king at that time of Israel to go get your seers or your so-called prophets and let them make an offering to their God, and I'll make an offering to our Creator, and whoever God answers by bringing fire down from heaven and accepting the offering, he will be the Creator. And Elijah mocked him a little bit by pouring water all over it, and then fire came down and consumed the offering, and then this king here became a good king. So did his son. But I did get some of the text right. There's some editing, some small little things that needed to be done, such as adding the word hidden here. I changed the diviners to spiritualists. I thought it was a better description of the pagans, how they seen who they seen, because they're consulting their gods on the behalf of the dead. So diviners I've got as like astrologers, foretelling, and the diviners were the ones that when the prophets came out and said something, these guys would run out and give a counter view of their view. So, but it had to be who consulted to consult our gods on behalf of the living. So it has to be spiritualist. I think there's another one, sorcerers, that talk to the dead, but they are consulting other gods, not people. So definitions have to be set up, and I'm thinking that's how I've done this before. So I try to remember and use spiritualist. Now, when you read this text, it has to be when they speak of their foretelling, this here. They can't be speaking just according because of their goddess. I had to remove this word, and I think I had put practice in here, and then when I edited, I seen I had 3 major words here. So I believe that's how according got out, because I couldn't figure out what that word should be. But when I had put practice, it's really about their belief and how they're going to get to heaven. They believe they're going to become gods, and they're going to be, the Bible will have our creators like YHVH'S, which means hosts are the stars in heaven. They literally thought they were going to be stars in heaven. So that's why I put the word heaven here. Found that I had 3 verses, and this was a 4 verse, so I had to get rid of 1 verse. So the text needed just a quick change here in 1 word to make it read better. Again, 3 verse. I said that I needed this. I couldn't change this. I couldn't make it a part 3 here. So I said, okay, make this, get rid of these, and I've got a 3 verse going here. Now here's part 3 in chapter 10. And then there's part 4, part 5. So there was a lot of different pieces, like I said, found in the text. This is some real good text about Jesus, how he is going to be witnessed. And a lot of people try to figure out the 7 spirits Jesus has. I didn't use those books other than Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I will never use. They're just false. But we need the truth with Jesus and what Jesus says, and not to change Jesus' words, which a lot of those other books do. But people like trying to chase the seven spirits in Revelation, and what they didn't know is these words would have been spirits. I've changed them to words, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 here. So he will not judge by what he sees, nor a decision. So you can see that even though this would be I couldn't make this into a 3-verse, still had to leave it separate. Those would be easy to understand. That's easy. Okay, text, it just didn't line up, and if you take it out, it reads better. Again, to know where to stick this. So it's just out. There's a lot of pieces I did get rid of in the next video after I tried to compile them, and they just didn't connect anywhere, and I didn't think they were worth saving. So again, needed to be a 3-verse because these were 3 verses. There was 4 here. This was a 3-verse, but it makes no sense to go with this text. This is just for one to remove the seeds from the grain. That isn't how they did it. So that become just untruthful. Again, here it had like 2 starts. And it is the same, like story, removing the sandals, and he went naked and barefoot. So the thing here is I'm pretty sure this is not Isaiah, because this is one of those words that have to be long before that they go into Israel, goes into captivity. Again, 3-verse, had to make it 3-verse. I think what I did was I had this out, and then I said, no, I'll take this verse out, because then we're introduced here and here as who we're talking about. I was trying to keep his name in here, and you can see I had to add it here. But this part is going to go with another part of actually more about what he's seen. The text we have in Isaiah doesn't go with it, but I know this is being tied to Isaiah, so this, and I can see that by the timeline, this would have to be Isaiah, because they're going away, and so this is probably the last vision from Isaiah before this king, because you can't have these prophets over here talking about after here. So it has to be after they're gone, and it has to be someplace right around in here. But I only have that one little piece here. Again, 3-verse, I had a 4-verse. This is the timeline note. And this, when I realized that it can't be this king, it's got to be like the king or 2 kings ahead of him, for the simple fact that when you look, these years are kind of short for this king. So it could have been a prophecy at this time. So, like I said, we got different prophets here showing up by the text and putting them into the timeline. Okay, I had to move 2 groups, and that was down here. Then I moved to here, and then I had to take this group and moved it down here. Then the story became truer to be read in this order. And this one's not that confusing. Wait until you see one coming up pretty soon. That is really confusing. So, but these little edits, I don't think need this. And this is after Judah is gone, so now you know that this is a different prophet, because this is way after. This is like 100 years after Isaiah lived. And then when I read this doesn't really say anything here, so I just got rid of it. Okay, now this is the order of this text. All right. And what happened was I read this and I realized that the ordering wasn't correct. So I left it as an order, and then what I'm going to do is show you what I had to do to put it in order. Because the words were, for he had planned this against Tyre. So I had to have this and Tyre up here. I couldn't have it where it was. Now watch this one. This is yellow. Then I had to move these two groups up from down below. And then this group right here, I had to move down. Then this group here, or this group here, had to be moved above this text. If you think it's confusing to you, it took me a long time to do this. But then these are the groups that was moved down here. And this was groups where I moved it from here upwards. I had to move this group upwards. And then this was just left alone. And I didn't think it was really important words. I couldn't tie them together. I had the word city Tyre. Tyre is in Lebanon. It's a port city that they're going to be the merchant capital of the Mediterranean Sea. But this is what it looks like when it's cleaned up. And if you take a screenshot here and then try to read it, although this video, it will be in... As soon as I get it done meshing into the other text, I will, that I'm combining, I will put that text together, and then I'll put it as PDFs for everybody to look at from the first editing of it, and then this editing here, and then cleaning it up. And then I think I even have below, no, it's not on this one. On the next cleanup, what did I do? Oh yeah, then I sectioned them off because I needed a PDF to say here's all the 3 verse, here's all the 4 verse pieces, just for people to witness what groups and how I took them. This became a little bit confusing when I edited it. I had to get without walls. It has to have a few walls because they weren't all tore down. Some were breached, some were badly damaged, but still some of the walls existed. And they would have gates for security. I couldn't just put openings for security. I had to have gates for security. So this is one of those editings that you had to think it through to figure out why I corrected it, but it had to have a few walls and it had to have gates for security. And then open the gates for the righteous to enter. And I had to use the word whom, that remain. I guess this should have been green text. So I added whom and got rid of remain, whom are faithful to him. So here's one that I really had to go through because when I read this text above, it was telling me that it was YV, our creator and our king, will guide us as we declare his name to them. Not your name, his name. So because the subject matter here was about Jesus, so because mankind wants to be near to me, couldn't be draw near to me. When I read it, I didn't like the word draw. I decided on the word wants, but it's pretty much the intent, so I'm not making it gray. And then what they were doing, I had to add all these words in here, meaning that their words are good and their hearts are far from me. They were being deceiving when they were talking. You got to remember, at this time, they were making gods or idols and images and saying, hey, this is YV, your creator. And then that's part of this deceivement. But their hearts are far from him because they were, like I said, starting to distort the text and make it for their God and not for our creator and Jesus. So here, I don't know if this is right yet, whether it's Egypt or someplace else. So without obeying me, not consulting me, you can't consult our creator. And then when I did this, I said, if it's going to be Egypt, that this needs to say for their safety, they had to flee here. Now, I know I have another prophecy already done, and I think it's in Jeremiah, telling them in Judah to flee to Egypt. So this goes with that text, and might be this is where this text would go later, because I've got to put like stories with like text to say where they were at. So again, this fleeing needed to be added, so I'm replacing the text here, getting that, because I put that line in there, and they will be insulted. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that word. And had to add all these words. I think I just had a straight line across here with the word destruction on it, and then I did figure out, I believe this would be the best wording that would go there. Not my truth, Jesus's truth. We're talking about Jesus here, and then not mine, but Yah's. So had to add the word fourth, for, and then get rid of up, but I had to change the word cities to tribes because that meant they were against the tribes. They had to wipe the tribes out at a time as they're coming down. And when I'm reading this text, to make it correct to read in order, it has to be now is the time to come out and make a bargain with the king of Assyria. Then I put the king's name here. Just put it down here. It reads better. Didn't need the word 100, but I did add the word S's to mean more than 100, because I think I changed 1 to like 10,000 or horses or something like that, but just hundreds of horses, because when you read the story, it's here that then if you could set him up on that, then he would be the weakest commander. So that kind of, this correction on horses has to be tied to the correction here. This city I'm not sure of yet. Tyre is the capital city for Lebanon, so I'm thinking that this is the city above it. So did a little bit of correcting there. clothing, they wore garments. Garments are pretty much hides. So I wanted to make sure I keep using the same words. This isn't hard to understand. Reproach to mocked, because this is the story that he did. This guy that came up mocked our Creator. It wasn't a reproach, although I could have used the word reproach, but he mocked him like he's not going to be able to save you type of wording. Down here there was 2 empty lines, and I went through this, and yes, I'm pretty sure these words would be good enough to be said, because they continue when it says here, and then they told him everything, and then Isaiah told them. So this is to fill in the gap. Still not sure if this is Gomer. Here's the text. I know when I was doing it, I said it was wrong. This is where the sun goes backwards for 10 steps, which when you realize 10 steps, depending on the time of the year, during fall time, the shadows would be quicker. During the height, zenith is slower, or the slowest. So when you think of it 10 steps, and 10 steps is quite a distance, I got to get rid of it because there is no recording around the world, and I do know Asia would have been recording an event like this, but I don't think our Creator would make it happen just in their area, because then it would just be illusion of their mind. And I thought, okay, this text I'm throwing out, not going to use it. But again, it does mean somebody knew the format. Okay, somebody knew how to read the 3-verse format, plain and simple. And if you look for this to go anywhere, it would probably go with YHVH'S that I told you about before, where it says test me or ask me, and then he says I'm not going to test our Creator. So I had 3 words here instead of 2, so I got rid of 1. Added that just reads smoother. Voices will call out, clear the road for Yah to make it open for our King. So this is just reading the text and saying, hey, okay, these are the more proper words to be said. They're going to take and clean the road to make him not even stumble, and make it as smooth as the carpet, I guess. Down here, when it's talking about a tree that they're selecting is not rotten or rotted, then they seek a carver to carve it up, or a craftsman. Should to try, because I realized that this would have been the major word here, and I didn't like that word here. They're trying to make it his equal. Like I said, they made carvings of false gods and said, this is YHVH, okay? And so this is what this text is about. And so it wasn't about his strength and power. Our Creator created these. They're talking about lift up your eyes. So he's talking about the clouds, the moon, the stars. Look up here, and then it was by his will, not by his strength. The word will has to be the correct word here. Will and then power. Again, a text that seems that they're trying to tie it to this, but I can't compare our Creator to children, okay? Plain and simple. They might have a lot of energy, but no. They do get tired and then they sack out for quite a while. So here I had to put the word gods instead of the word works, are worthless, and then their words are emptiness. It's not like the wind, because when you say their images, they made their images, and then it had to be in their words, because of the emptiness of the images isn't there. The images are for them to look at and think that this is their God. 4 verse needed to be to 3 verse. 4 verse in the middle, I couldn't change it, so I left it 4 verse. Again, his will on earth, not just his justice, but it's his will on earth. Jesus' will on earth. Now, this was a note to me that when I read it, I said, where does it go? And it showed up right here that it goes right here. So actually, when I cleaned it up, this got rid of this text in the middle, and yes, that 4 verse goes with this 4 verse. So when I was reading it, this is kind of like he's talking to the people again. We've got a lot of text of just either a scribe writing or it is words from the prophet talking about what they've known about and their thoughts from the prophecies that they've been given. I think they took out, I think they take from their pouch. I said they took because it had to be made. So I realized the word was took. A lot of times I don't understand the story, whether it's they or you, until I get to this point and can read all of it together. So there's nothing real big about that editing. Isaiah didn't write this, so I don't know if this is at Israel's time or at Judah's time. But I just know that Israel did not write it. So showing his light to me. Now, if there's any text that would say that it's a starting of how our Creator first brought or let the new prophet know who he is, he would show him his light, and in darkness, in the abyss, he shows himself as I'm not trying to demean our Creator, but the appearance is a round, brilliant purity light. Our Creator made me see him 8 times this way. And the text tells me that he spake from his light to communicate with Daniel. Anyways, I think that's what came to from Daniel. So if any text we have here, maybe the very beginning, but I'm not sure that Isaiah wrote this. So, but this would be like how our Creator appeared, or let him know who he was, so he'd go out and prophesy. Because here you read this and it's like his stories. Then I'm declaring to all who have not lived, I have not lived in vain. So it's kind of like his summary. Okay. So I just don't know how to put what prophet at time right now. I had to add the word reach out. Why do I have 3, 2, Oh, I was thinking whether, oh, this was a note to me to see why didn't this go somewhere above? Because you can see this text is him talking, and then it's kind of like, listen to me. And then it's kind of like, how come that didn't go up to the top? So just making notes to myself because it takes a lot of time. I've got probably 2.5 days of work right now into getting this text into 2 and 3 verse, and I only have the 3 verse put in order, and I'm reading it for the second time to make sure it reads like it can be. This is the way the text is falling to say that these stories should happen in this order. And then this, I didn't feel like I needed to put like another part 2, because the text goes together. So I needed to get rid of this. So I just assigned it like this to say, if I don't keep it, at least I know this is the chapter it came from. Getting to the end here. Yes, I realized that here it had to be his words for our nation, and like I've got still a capital S on this. I still don't know if this is at before Israel has fallen, or is it just now after Judah's time. So some of the text doesn't have enough to tell me, so I'm kind of guessing right now. So then it has to be that he's a prophet when his people are coming to make decisions. For I am a prophet for our Creator, not just because he's the nearest, our nearness to our Creator. I thought a better word should just be prophet, be done with it. This was really some really important text. For Yah will be called by a new name assigned by YHVH. I couldn't leave it like it was. I had to move these words here, or YHVH to the end, add this, get rid of this. And because we know the story, Gabriel came to Joseph and Mary and told them to name their son Jesus. So here's this in the text that it was prophesied by our Creator. Digging these out, that's what makes it so special, that the text, because I've never seen anybody point to this text in the 30 years I've been on the internet as to say that this is where Jesus is going to be renamed, because I had to dig it out of the dirt to get these here. So, but now that people will say it, then they'll look at it, oh yeah, now I see it, it's easy to see here. I had to change the word, I had to put I in front, not behind. And that's the end of this text, of me editing it. So with that news, I guess I'll call it for the day. And hopefully you'll stop by and watch the next one, subscribe if you think this is important, because I don't want people to subscribe and not understand what's going on here. I'm calling those that are really those who can hear prophecy. This is prophecy, but a lot of people have no idea what prophecy is because they've been lied to for so long. But someday they will come and they'll realize the text, what I've been doing here, is to be recorded for history, so everybody knows what my view is and why I saved text and why I got rid of the text. With that, I will call it an end to this video.